Welcome to Grace and Gratitude Podcast, where you'll hear journeys of hope, inspiration, and miracles. Its goal is to help people find their way back to joy through the inspiring stories of our guests who have successfully risen above the challenges of life with a grace-filled and grateful heart. This podcast is sure to add more gratitude, joy, love, and meaning in your life. And now your host, Vebs Dichoso.
Hi everyone, welcome to Grace and Gratitude. This is your host Vebs, and today we are joined by a wonderful, happy, positive, and authentic woman. She's the founder of gratitudeaddict.com, and she also has a very active online community, Attitud of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. Let's all welcome Lauren Zalewski. Hi Lauren.
Hi there. Thanks for having me, Vebs. It's really a pleasure to be asked to be a part of your awesome podcast.
Yes, so great to have you and hear from you. I'm so excited. You know, Lauren, when I first saw your website, the gratitudeaddict.com, I got curious. How did you become a gratitude addict? And can you share with us your story and the inspiration behind all the works that you do?
I can. It's a bit of a crazy story. Didn't start off happy, but ended off happy. Back in 2001, so it's been about 16 years ago, I got sick. I was a young mother, 32 years old, with toddlers, and I felt like I had the flu, and it just wasn't going away. It took me about a year to get a proper diagnosis, but eventually I was diagnosed with lupus and fibromyalgia, which are autoimmune diseases that cause pain in the joints and nerves, muscles, things like that. So it was a long road getting diagnosed from doctor to doctor. They originally thought I had Lyme disease because it's very prevalent where I live here in New Jersey. But the treatment just wasn't working, and that's not uncommon for Lyme disease people out here. But anyway, so it turned out to not be that. And when I got diagnosed, I was treated properly. And for the most part, over the next many years, I would go through these flares. When you have lupus, you have flares where you have these up periods where, you know, you're fine. I was able to go about my business. I was a very active mom, almost too active, president of the kids' PTA at their schools and homeroom mom, and I did catering business. So, you know, I was good enough where I was able to be very active on that end. But then a flare would start, and a flare could last anywhere from a few weeks to a few months, where I would kind of just be knocked on my butt and not really able to accomplish much. So my husband was a big help during that time, my parents, my sister. But once the flares were over, I was able to go back about my busy business until about, I think it was 2008. I had stress can bring about flares, and I had a very stressful period. Something happened, and it caused me to have the flare of all flares that just never really ended. It lasted about 4 years. Yeah, it was really painful. I've always been a really positive person and always had kind of the glass half full mentality, and always had the mindset of tomorrow I'll wake up, it will be better. And it went on, and when days turned into weeks, turned into months, turned into years, I started thinking, maybe this isn't getting better. So all of these things that I was doing, I was kind of obsessed with my illness, to be honest with you, Bebs. I was on the internet constantly trying to cure myself. The internet can be a real curse when you're chronically ill. It can be a blessing, but also a curse. Doctor to doctor, all sorts of different treatments that just weren't working. And with each one that didn't work, I kind of slipped deeper and deeper into a depression. And eventually, the last year, which was from 2012 to 2013, I became an alcoholic. I was drinking. The medications I was taking for my pain were not helping, but a glass of wine was helping. And then a glass of wine just wasn't cutting it anymore. It led to a lot more glasses of wine. So that lasted a little bit under a year, but it was bad. And I hit a really bad, what we call a bottom in June of 2013. I had a DUI that was very bad. And that's kind of what I consider to be my turnaround, my aha moment was my lowest moment where I knew something had to be done. I didn't know how this happened to me. How I let this happen to me is how I viewed it at the time. And I knew that change had to happen. And that's where my sister ended up finding me a rehab, but it was more than just a rehab. It was a chronic pain program along with a rehab up in Connecticut at Silver Hill Hospital. And that's really where I just kind of changed my life and decided that I didn't want to live like that anymore. And that's when gratitude really kind of started becoming a big part of it. I was so grateful that I know that things could have ended up a whole lot worse than they did on that day, June 20, 2013. So my every day up until this day, even over 4 years later, is still based on that moment and how I'm grateful even for the bad times. And it could be worse. I could have killed somebody. I could have killed myself. I could be in prison. I could be dead. Everything is good compared to that. And that's where gratitude really started coming into play.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Been through a lot, and I couldn't imagine that. Like when you mentioned you're hitting rock bottom because of these experience, you turned it into a blessing through gratitude. Now,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do anyway.
I'm curious, what are the greatest lessons that you've learned from practicing gratitude?
Oh, gosh. Well, after I got out of rehab, I started a Chronic Pain Anonymous meeting here locally. We had them up at rehab, and they did not have any chapters in New Jersey at that time. So I started it. This was back in 2014. And that's when I started my Facebook group, Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. It initially was supposed to be a place to kind of advertise our meetings and to remind people of our meetings every Tuesday night, and really kind of evolved into this community of people. The only rule I kind of had at the time was that I noticed other Facebook groups, it was a lot of people kind of just complaining, I guess. And, when you hurt, it's really hard not to complain. It's really hard not to complain when you hurt all the time, every day, all day long. But I was finding myself not getting the motivation and getting uplifted the way I wanted to. So I kind of made this rule where you couldn't complain. And so not everybody wants that, to be honest with you. So the group was really attracting other people like me who really were looking to base things on gratitude. And that's where my lessons have come from, or from these other people in the community. We work together to keep each other kind of in focus. I know that if I'm having a good day today and somebody's having a bad day today, tomorrow it very well could turn around. So, oh gosh, the lessons, I still go back to that day in 2013. Like I'm having a pretty bad day today, actually. But I make myself get up. I make myself shower because I didn't used to do that during that time. Believe it or not, it wasn't shower. I didn't leave the house. I didn't socialize. And for me, I was always a really, really social person. Just really shows how depressed and in my head, I'm very defeated. And I'm using chronic pain as my example, but in our society nowadays, there's so many different issues that we all have that, we're all so busy. I think we're all so busy trying to portray this perfection, which doesn't exist. And I think it's making us all sick in one way, shape, or form. That's in my opinion. Yeah. So I like talking about what's real and our problems, and using that to feeding off of each other to come to our gratitude, because life is not perfect. There's no such thing. And I find myself relating more to people who are wholehearted and authentic. You mentioned the word authentic before. I like that a lot. So yeah, the lessons, we've got some people in the group who are bedbound. I am not bedbound. I have periods of time where I'm able to do certain things and not others. But I have to kind of keep things in check, I think. It's not saying that you can't complain, because I think when you have these issues, it's only natural. And I think you can't brush it under the rug either. You have to be real, and acknowledge that these things are real. Otherwise, it's trying to portray that perfection that, again, doesn't exist. But I don't know. I really like the authenticity and just saying, you know what, I freaking hurt today. This stinks. But you know what? It's a lot better than June 20th, 2013 was. And I'm going to use this and I can always turn my day around. I know that too. That's another good lesson.
It's true. And
yeah.
I agree with you when you talk about being real and being authentic. And
Mm-hmm.
and this image of portraying to people that we live a perfect life and all of these stuff, it's true. It face challenges and sometimes we need help. And it's also true that it's not just about what you're talking about. It's just chronic pain. Some of us are also experiencing emotional pains, and it's more than that. We could really dig in deeper than the chronic pain or the roots of it, right?
Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, with chronic pain, more often than not, emotional pain comes along with it, and quite often depression as well. And people in my group I know would say, and I've said it before too, that sometimes the emotional pain is more debilitating than the physical. So, I get a lot from people that I know in other walks of my life that say, well, I'm in pain today, but it's nothing like what you're going through. And I say, you can't think like that. You don't, first of all, pain is subjective. You don't know that. Pain is emotional, physical. It's all the same to me. Don't discount your pain, but you can do things to help make it better for yourself and not worse. And I feel that a lot of us, if we wallow in it, it does make it worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't want to make it worse. It's bad enough as it is. I want to be happy. That's my ultimate goal in life, is to be happy.
Yeah. And now, Lauren, I know gratitude is really important in your life. And I'd like to know, what are your practices? How do you practice this being grateful, especially during tough times, especially during now that you're going through something?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was just talking to you, before the show started, about how my life's work, much like Veb's life work, is in gratitude and showing people, not only with chronic pain, but also others now, how my life is turned around because of gratitude. And sometimes I can get so caught up in my work, and pretty much every waking hour of mine is based in my work now, because I'm an empty nester now. And I can forget to do my own gratitude practice. And I feel it when I do. But last year, 2016, I embarked on what I call my gratitude project. Instead of doing a gratitude journal, which I think is so important, and my group is actually working on journaling right now. We just started today, as a matter of fact, doing a group project on gratitude journaling. But I knew if I were going to do it myself, I would probably do it for a couple of weeks and I would forget about it. So I decided to kind of out myself, I guess, or tell on myself, and do it on Facebook. And I announced at the beginning of the year that I was going to stay one thing I was grateful for every day for the entire year of 2016. And it was a little crazy, I have to admit. It was absolutely crazy. I got to, like April, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Because my only two rules were that I could not repeat, and I really tried to not make them things that were of material value for the most part. I mean, like I was grateful for having an automobile, of course, but I wouldn't, let's say I wouldn't be grateful for my iPhone, something like that. I wanted them to be gratitudes that everybody could relate to, no matter what.
It could be the simple things.
Yes, exactly. And those were the things that people really related to. And it started off where, my friends were into it, and then they were telling their friends, and they were friending me just to be a part of it. But some of the most profound ones were the everyday things I really had to dig deep, because when you're doing 366 It was a leap year, so it wasn't 365, it was 366. When you're doing different ones, you really do have to dig deep, In the beginning, it was a little bit easy. Like, I have clean drinking water. Aren't I lucky? I have clean air to breathe. But then things like I have people that I can talk to every day. Some people don't. I have food to feed my belly and to nourish myself. Some people don't. It was the most profound experience of my entire life. It really was. The beginning of the year, I started off where I would state my gratitude. I'd put a picture on. I'd say maybe a couple sentences. By the end of the year, I was writing manifestos every day. But so that's based on that and the popularity of it. I decided to write a book once the year was up, and that's where the Gratitude Addict website came from. So once the year was up, people they didn't want me to stop, and I thought it would be kind of the opposite. I thought people would be annoyed by the whole thing and possibly unfriend me because it would be annoying. But I knew I had to do it for myself, and it was just the opposite. It was incredible and taught me a lot about myself too.
Amazing.
Yeah. But now, since it's been over now for 8 months, I have to watch myself. And so I do different things, like now this challenge in my group that started today. I'm glad for it because it forces myself, but I can forget, and I can feel it in my bones. I can. Gratitude's no joke, as you know. It's the real deal.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for sharing your gratitude habits and your reinforcements to be more grateful in life. Sometimes we really need these reminders to help us.
Yes, we do. And I think, as I was telling you before the show started, I think a lot of people think that gratitude is just kind of like the hot buzzword of the moment and all that. I encourage your listeners to give it a try. Maybe state 3 things a day, which is what Robert Emmons is. He's one of the leading researchers in gratitude. He says to say, instead of just one thing, maybe 3 things a day, because it really forces you to think about your gratitude. And try it for a week. Try for a month. You don't have to do a year. That's just crazy. But if you can, that's great too. Try it, and I guarantee you that you will at least learn a lot about yourself. And I bet you anything you'll have a smile on your face.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Even when you've got your problems, there's always something to be grateful for. I know that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Totally. Now, Lauren, if ever there's a miracle moment or a saving grace moment in your life, what it is?
Oh, there's been so many. And once I got sober, even though I wasn't drinking alcoholically for that long, I started attending a 12-step program, which I attend. And so that forces me to look at myself as well. My mind is now so open to the miracles of life and the joys of life. I'm so grateful that I didn't kill anybody and that I didn't die and leave my children without a mother and all of that. I feel like every day is a miracle. But if I had to pick one moment, I suppose it would be, so I woke up in the hospital on that day of my DUI, not knowing how I got there. That's how bad it was. Like, I didn't remember even going out. So I firmly believe that my higher power, I believe in God, that God saved me for a reason. Maybe I don't know the reason. I think I know the reason, but maybe I don't know the reason, but maybe I'm not supposed to know. But I feel like now I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I love helping people. I've always loved helping people, whether it was the PTA and all of that. But now just to see people in my group say that it's been such a life-changing experience for them, when sometimes their lives really, they hurt and they stink. It's really, the whole thing is just a miracle. It's just incredible. Every day there's something new, but I guess if I had to pick one, it would be my final day, my bottom, where it was the best day of my life and the worst combined.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
stories like this, when Usually, the saving grace comes from hitting your rock bottom when
Yeah.
when you don't have other choice but to pick yourself up and move forward because that's all you've got to do. And then,
Right, which sounds easier said than done, and a
yeah,
lot of people don't. They still need to experiment some more and say, I didn't. I was so miserable. I really just. I'm like, how did I let myself get here? And when you're an alcoholic now, I know you don't let yourself get anywhere. It's just like in you. But I really wanted to make a change. I felt like I could, although at the time I felt like my life was over. I did. I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel at all. It wasn't until I got to rehab and I had this awesome roommate named Jackie, who's now my admin in my group. She's 20 years younger than me. The idea of having a roommate was horrifying, especially somebody twice. She was 23. I was 43. She made me laugh for the first time. I didn't think I could ever smile again. So now, yeah, like I said, now she's my co-admin, and I'm in her wedding in September. So there's so many miracles that but we have to be open to them. We have to keep our mind open, and I think we need to slow down a little bit and stop trying to be so perfect, and realize there's nothing wrong with admitting that we have problems and that it's okay to talk about them with people. And I bet you anything, if you open your mind and your heart, you'll start relating more to the people that
yeah, it's
do so with you, don't you think?
yeah. I agree on that because when we share, we realize that we're not alone in this journey. We're not alone in life. Some people thought they are alone going through all of this, but the truth is they are not alone. We just need each other to help each other move forward.
That is true. And, before I never belonged to any chronic pain groups before I hit my bottom. My parents would want me they'd find like a chronic pain support group. And I would say, no, I don't want to, hang around with a bunch of people, talking about their pain. It sounds depressing. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on the couch all day long in my pajamas, unshowered, not eating, drinking the days away while my dog's looking at me like I'm nuts. I can laugh about it now. It was surely not funny at the time.
Yeah.
My poor children, my husband was a saint. He picked up the pieces of our family in a big way. But so it wasn't, a gift of the internet is the ability to share with others who do have similar problems. I mean, not just chronic pain. There's support groups for every issue in our lives. There's nothing wrong with admitting that we need help. It's hard to ask for it, but there's nothing wrong with admitting that we need it,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I commend you for doing this. I really do.
Thank you. And thank you also for all the works that you do.
You're welcome. It's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's good work.
Yeah. Now, Lauren, if you can leave a message to someone who's going through something, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, and also to those who want to add more gratitude, joy, love, and meaning in their lives, what's your one big message?
Oh gosh, I guess I would probably go back to kind of what I just said. There's no shame in admitting that you need help. Talk to somebody about it. It doesn't have to be a huge deal. Maybe your problem is not on the scale of chronic pain, but still your problems are very real. And you shouldn't be afraid to admit your problems or talk to them to somebody else. I find that I don't relate to people that try to portray perfection anymore. I don't, because I certainly am not. My house is a disaster. But at the end of the day, I know that it's not going to matter at the end of time what my house looks like. What's going to matter is the relationships that I have with people. And sorry about that. And the relationships, the community, and the sense of just talking to people. The relationships are really, really important. Life is hard. Life is really hard, and it's okay to admit that. I guess that would be my biggest message. And join a group. Listen to this podcast. Keep a gratitude journal. Try it for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing it now. And if people would remember Lauren Zalewski, how would you like to be remembered?
It's going to sound really cliche based on this interview, but I get my friends in my meetings and all of that. I have pretty much every shirt I own has gratitude on it in some way, shape, or form. I'm known for gratitude now. So I own this is actually a Wonder Woman shirt. This does not have gratitude on it, but so people think of me with gratitude, which I love. But besides the gratitude thing, I guess I would just probably kindness and just trying to help others, because that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to portray anything other than, life is hard. I hit a bottom. It stunk. It was horrible, but you can come out of it, because I didn't think I could, and you can if you work hard at it, and if you're open and willing, you can. So perseverance, I guess. That was probably 5 things I just told you that I want to be remembered for. Let's pick one and say kindness.
All wonderful.
But you can send me a gratitude shirt, and I'll give Vebs my address.
Oh, great. All right. So in relation to that, if people would like to know more about you, how can they find you and reach you?
Probably the best place would be my website, which is gratitudeaddict.com. And there you can find the address to join if you have chronic pain, the Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain Facebook group, and then information on my upcoming book as well. But gratitudeaddict.com would be the best place to find out all about me, my project from last year, and all of my ugly warts that have turned into beautiful flowers.
Amen. We could talk all day about this stuff, and so
we could.
Yeah, but we have to part. Anyway.
Thank you so much for having me. I really commend you for the work you're doing. That's just beautiful. It really is.
Thank you for being with us. I enjoyed this brief chat with you, and I'm so grateful to have you.
Me too.
Yeah.
You have to come on my show sometime.
Yeah. Would love to. I would love
to. Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Once again, Lauren, thank you for being with us, and it's a grace to have you.
Thanks, Vebs. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Grace and Gratitude. There's more to explore on our website, www.gratefulandjoyfulsoul.com. Also, please help us share this message with your family and friends and leave us a review on iTunes. We're so grateful to have you on this journey.